Welcome to the Upshift podcast, where changemakers meet and commune and find out how each other is doing their part in changing the world. And today we have Mal Alder of Alderwood Creative. I know Mal because I work with Mal. She's fabulous, but we're going to find out from her how fabulous she is.
Oh.
Hey, Mal. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. So tell us about you. It's funny because, you did your little fill out the sheet, the application sheet, and you kept saying, I'm an open book. I'm an open book. And I'm like, all right, let's open this book. Let's go to chapter 1. What do
Okay.
you do for a living?
That's an excellent question. I like to say I manage chaos, but realistically, so I am the founder and lead growth strategist for Alderwood Creative. We're a full service digital marketing agency that focuses on helping small businesses and nonprofits. A lot of my day, I'm extremely fortunate to have an incredible team to work with. So I've joked that I've delegated too well, but a lot of my day to day is kind of building relationships with community and fellow thought leaders and kind of keeping things between the mustard and the mayonnaise when it comes to projects. I'm sure our director of operations would disagree with how helpful I am there, but just kind of finding new ways to bring value to the clients and the community that we serve.
So you are an entrepreneur, and at some point it was just you, I think,
Mhm.
probably. So what did it take you? I mean, what kind of chutzpah to go out, especially the digital marketing arena? It's very, very, very competitive. To go out on your own and be an entrepreneur.
Sure. Well, I lost my job, which, as I've gone through this journey, I've learned that is not a unique quality to being an entrepreneur. So, I graduated college in 2013. I have an English degree with an emphasis in poetry and a minor in journalism and creative writing. I often joke that I graduated with a prayer and a hand cramp of trying to find a job. And to date myself a little bit, I was scrolling Craigslist in a 17th century poetry class my final semester of college, and I'd stumbled upon a job listing for a content writer for a digital marketing agency. I'd never written a blog, I had no idea what SEO was. I knew what Google was, and I think I was still posting super emo text in the background selfies on Facebook. So, like ideal candidate. But so from there, I kind of just fell in love with the marketing space, even though I didn't have a traditional marketing background. And I'd kind of followed the traditional path through the marketing world of working for agencies, working for in house brands. And I'd commuted a lot, 30 minutes to Sevierville, 30 minutes to Oak Ridge or Clinton. And I'd finally landed that downtown Knoxville job. I live really close to downtown. So it's like, this is perfect. I'm living, my dream here. And after about a year, that agency closed. The principals decided to retire and they didn't want to sell the book of business.
Wow.
So I kind of approached this crossroads of what do you do now? Because I need a job.
Mm.
And I've always had a really strong passion for community building and small businesses. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. And I remember having my boss at one of my former agencies tell me if a business didn't have $10,000 to spend per month, we couldn't afford to bring them on as a client. And me having worked for small businesses and having my experience with those, they can't afford that. A lot of them cannot, $100 can make or break a month. So that never really sat well with me. And I wanted to help my friends while they were also starting their businesses. So I took a step back and I evaluated the landscape of what marketing looked like in Knoxville. And there were a lot of really great ad agencies who did marketing and digital marketing kind of, but how much were they really doing? Or there were firms that were doing digital marketing really well, but they were focused on more high dollar clients. So there wasn't anything where I was like, aha, I want to work there. And then I was offered a role to take over digital marketing for a local credit union. And ultimately, it came down to they wanted to give me bank holidays, but I wanted more money. So I was like, I'm going to work anyway. It's the nature of the internet. I don't know if you know this, it doesn't turn off.
Right.
So, I was really fortunate. I have a friend. She's also a female entrepreneur and she has run several successful businesses. We grabbed lunch one day and I kind of told her what I was struggling with. And the advice she gave me was, why don't you just try? You know, if you go broke, you can go to UT, get an MBA, try again. But it was just kind of a really good opportunity to try. So I went home that day. I launched a Facebook status that was not an emo selfie with a bunch of text in the background that said, hey, y'all, this is what I'm doing now. And I was really fortunate that I got my first couple clients that way. And we're coming up on 7 years this December. And I would say about 90% of our business is still referral based, of just
Wow.
people wanting to work with us or seeing the work that we do. So I've been very fortunate and I'm thankful every day for the journey that we've had.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that you focused on these small businesses because even in large businesses, when they're struggling, first thing to go is marketing. And
Hmm.
it doesn't make common sense. I'm a salesperson, a marketing person. It's like you're going to go down in sales during the month, and yet now you're going to take the marketing out. It's like, is that not a double grave builder right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but and yet the small businesses can't afford to get in front of their customers if they're competing with these big guys. And I just love the fact that you are giving these small businesses a chance to compete. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's true. So we offer a lot of really flexible plans. We're still kind of a little bit more time based than we are service based. So really sitting down, because when it comes to digital marketing, there's no cookie cutter solution. At the end of the day, we're all throwing money at Google, hoping to God it eventually sticks with a couple strategic plans in place and some analytics and tracking. So, but it's very easy to get lost in, I call it the alphabet soup of all the different, like, was it anagrams that come out like SEO, PPC, SEM, um, all of this that you get confusing. You don't know what you don't know. Like, I'm not an accountant. I love my CPA and she keeps me legit.
Mhm.
But also, I don't expect her to build a website for me. So,
So
kind of allow kind of
you're
allowing those business owners to focus in on what they do well and us coming in and creating a custom strategy built specifically for their needs because everything we do is tied into their business objective.
right.
I never sit with a client and say, "Oh, you need to be on social media because everyone else is on social media." I say, "What are you trying to achieve? Here's what we can do to help you get there."
Yeah.
And that's different. And so by having that kind of flexibility in the time that we offer, our clients have access to all of the services that we offer. If the campaign needs change, then we're not tied down with the scope of work and it gets just messy.
Mhm.
Again, I joke, I was an English major. I just want simple billing and to play on the internet. That's all I want.
Yeah, it's great. So you target, and that's what every company needs, but especially making a real bang for the buck for their marketing buck. But I want to move into your community building because you did say that you got the opportunity to be with thought leaders and change makers, and I know you have because I've been in your groups with you. But let me ask you this: it's community. Well, I'm going to ask it something in a different way. What do you love about community building? And then that's one question. And then what's your favorite part about how you are in the community?
Sure. Um, I would say what I've appreciated the most is the people I've met and just seeing how much incredible work is being done by individuals that candidly I probably never would have met, like, or kind of been in those rooms with them. So, you know, a couple of our clients, YWCA Knoxville, everything that they're doing to help eliminate racism and protect victims of domestic violence in our back door. The work they do is huge. There's Big Brothers, Big Sisters providing mentorship to youth in our community. There's a smaller one. We work with Todd Kelly Jr. and the TKJ Foundation with their Camp 24, which is a 1 day football, like no contact football camp for underprivileged youth in our community that's completely free for them to attend. And they have current and former UT players, football players come and speak. TK jokes. I was talking to Dylan Sampson last year, and I'm not a sports ball girl. I had no idea who he was. And Todd just laughed for that. So, but like these kind of things, to pick on TKJ Foundation for a minute, I'm not a sports person, so I never would have been connected there, and I would have never known that world and kind of the impact you can have on a child. And what I appreciate how the agency kind of ties in, where we have, a lot of great client relationships. We have a lot of really good paying clients, but we also have the flexibility that we're able to donate a lot of our services to causes we really care about internally. And that also kind of helps us move the needle. And that's really impactful for me. I was on a call with someone yesterday because they were trying to recruit me to join a fundraising committee. And I told them, I was like, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not good at asking for money. What I'm good at, and this kind of ties into the second part of your question, is I'm a connector. So I like saying, you've experienced it firsthand. It's like, I know Angel who does really good somatic movement therapy or, speaking tips and tricks and things like that. And I have a friend over here who wants to get into the keynote speaking space. Those are two friends that should probably connect with one another. So by having us have our hands in a bunch of different industries or a bunch of different niches, we're able to kind of identify connections that may or may not have happened organically on their own.
Yeah. So I have a label for that. I hate labels, but I would call you a community weaver. Which,
Okay, I'll
yeah,
take
you
that.
like that? Yeah, you are a community weaver, which is a powerful place to be and a thing to be in a community anywhere, but especially in this growing community of ours in Knoxville. On an aside, Todd Kelly went to school with my son, and they were buddies. I know. And his mother, Todd's mom, is,
Renee's so great.
oh my goodness. Well, he comes by his altruistic heart very naturally because of her. And she is a dynamic. You talk about, I think I can say this on a podcast, badass woman. She is she is a badass woman. But you know what? Here's something that I heard in that last description is that these young people that are coming up, like my son just turned 30, and I think Todd's right there too, that it's time for them to kind of look at where they can be an addition, a community builder, where they can take their love of football for Todd and offer it to help the community around him. I mean, that is very inspiring. And I'm thinking maybe this is a great inspirational podcast for these younger people to take their heart's love and see where they can put it altruistically to help their community.
Yeah, and I'm definitely seeing a lot of growth in kind of that space. So, to back it up a little bit, the business side of why Alderwood Creative focuses on small businesses is millennials are one of the most entrepreneurial driven generations that we've had. So, those large corporations, while that client pool market is shrinking, the small business market is exploding. I mean, we've had some bumps in the road. Obviously, there's 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic and the repercussions that still exist today from that. But people are getting, realizing you don't have to work that traditional 9 to 5. You can go out, try your own different streams of income. And so we're positioned to be there. And for those connections that I'm making, I really appreciate you and I have talked about this before, kind of this core group of friends that I've made, whether it's in the entrepreneurial space or the community space, where we all have a heart for our community. We all kind of believe that lift one, lift all mentality. And I remember you and I were grabbing coffee right before the holidays and we were joking. So when you think of your traditional philanthropic group of women, you
Hmm.
immediately think of that ladies who lunch. Immediately. It's like, where's my glass of champagne, my dry chicken salad, and, my pearls? But you actually had a really great statement. We were having that conversation of it's like, it's no longer ladies who lunch, it's ladies who launch. And
Love
so
that.
what well, it was your phrasing, so I hope so. But but so kind of seeing how it's not just me that has this mentality of I've seen a little success, so how can I bring others with me through the success? And so leaning back in on that collaborative nature of seeing so many people who are impassioned to help grow our community, which in my personal opinion is more important now than ever. So
Yeah. Yeah, and we're probably not going to go there, but with the
you're right.
funding that is being redirected, and I've always felt this way too, that our community is our responsibility, and we should do the private sector has so much money, and we really have such an opportunity, all of us, to give to the community in whatever capacity that we can, that we should all be building. I love this Ladies Who Launch, though. I think that that would be a really good name for a nonprofit. I really like that, Ladies Who Launch. I didn't know I said that. So tell me about what's been the hardest challenge for you, and then what did you do to get through that?
Sure. I think so. I love puzzles, and I know I'm really good at what I do. I think the hardest challenge that I face as an entrepreneur is the business side of it. It's just me. I have a great team, but I don't have any business partners. I don't have any investors. So I am HR, I am payroll, I am admin. So it's learning to navigate that kind of water of different learning styles, different personalities. Like, not only are you looking for, like, do they have the skills? Do they pass the vibe check? So, kind of growing a team that way and kind of the nuances is definitely an interesting growth opportunity, is how I'll phrase that. And I've joked, I'm a pretty honest, open book person. It's my personality. I understand I'm not extremely polished, I'm not extremely poised. So, but in meeting with some of these kind of more established businesses, when you go in, I know I can't go in and be like, hey, I need you to trust me. I have a whole lot of awards. I do really good at what I do. Just give me money and I'll make you money. You can't do that. You kind of have to play the game a little bit when it comes to business development. And I've like that has also been a growth opportunity there where I don't have a direct sales background. So
Yeah.
it's the business side of running a business is always interesting for me to learn.
So what you touched on right there was vulnerability. And that is
Hmm.
actually the power of vulnerability versus the power of, I don't know, big weightlifting or big muscles. Instead of coming in like a gorilla and saying, I can do this for you, you got to trust me. You're being really honest and transparent. Would you say that nowadays, that conversation, when you actually tell your client your limitations, this is what I'm really good at. And I admit I'm not great at that, but I can get you somebody on our team or refer you like you did with me.
Hmm.
And do you see that maybe in our community, our business community, that is actually becoming more powerful than the gorilla, the person coming into the room and saying, what I can do and how big I am?
No, I definitely think so. Brokering or referrals, things like that have always been there. but I kind of have a group of people where there's certain things that we don't do. Like we can build a really good custom WordPress site or Shopify site or Squarespace, things like that. I am not going to hand code you a custom app. I don't. That is not my skill set. I do not have a computer science degree, but what I do have is about 3 people that I can refer you to who are locally based who can do that very well.
Well, and there you go. There's your community.
Right. And it's one of those where if I send them a referral, I'm not expecting a kickback because I want them to succeed. And I know if the tables were turned, they would do the same for me. And I think that's been an interesting shift because typically when you think of referrals, it's, well, I'm going to mark it up or how do I make money? I don't want to lose my cut. But if you kind of view it as the pie is big enough for everyone to get a slice and you want everyone to succeed, again, that lift all mentality, you're not necessarily always focused or worried on what's in it for me. It's what's best for the client in this moment. And that's how I at least approach relationship building because the client's going to remember that you didn't steer them wrong and you were honest because ultimately at the end of the day, nothing will kill a client relationship faster than you overpromising and underdelivering.
Oof. Yeah. And that's why you have 90% of referrals in your business. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you have most of that's repeat business, keep coming back to you. What kind of inspiring words can you give to these entrepreneurs that are coming up? We have this new community building, love that. Coming from the heart, the transparency, the vulnerability, the being able to know your limitations and being okay with that. What kind of advice do you give from now you're more mature to people that are starting out or in a way like looking ahead at the community that's building in this business world? What would you say?
I would say the first, don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think, you were talking about vulnerability, and that's a really good point because I think that was hard for me to accept, like I am a high functioning, like achiever as my personality, but I'm also one of those, if I don't pick it up and immediately master it, I'm out. But,
That's
you
tough.
know, right? Um, that's where the anxiety comes from. But so there's been moments for me where I really don't understand, or I'm stuck Googling things, or I'm in a rut, whether it's like, how do I do this for my business? Or maybe it's a project that, is new to me and I'm learning, or even if it's just navigating something personal that I haven't experienced before. I know my gut reaction is to kind of take it all in and hold it to myself and not show the vulnerability that you were talking about. But as I've progressed over the years, maybe it's because I've gotten a little bit older, I'm no longer afraid to throw up the white flag and say, someone please help me. Like, I have a question. Who has the answer? And again, kind of leaning in on the community that you build around you.
Mm.
I think I've always heard the phrase that the people you surround yourself kind of become your board of directors for your life. So, who's around you at that table that you can kind of lean on in different phases or needs of you personally to help you become a better person?
Mal, you have given us so much food for thought and also inspiration. This whole leaning in to your community and trusting your community, also building the community as a successful business focus. And that, I think, we've tied it up with a bow. You've
I'll
been
just sign up right now. Thanks.
I
Bye.
know. I'm telling you. Well, I'm telling you that is, I think that I was sitting here thinking while you're talking, I'm like, that's the whole title, I think, of this podcast is how to be successful in business by creating a community and leaning into it. God, I
Yeah,
love that. I love that. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, imposter. creatives, I'm sure you feel it, imposter syndrome is real. And so it's kind of understanding you've put in the work, that you've earned your spot at the table. So don't feel like anyone can take it away from you, but then like lean into you don't know everything. There's always new things to learn. So,
Well, that's
yeah.
perfect because that would have been the way I would have ended today with a nugget of wisdom, and you just gave it to us. Which I believe there's a John Wayne saying where he goes, "A man's got to know his limitations," and I think that was at the end of a movie. And I love this. I think everybody's got to be okay with their limitations, and it's kind of like just accept and lean into your community. I love
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. How do we find you? We got people out there that need some digital marketing, I'm sure.
Sure, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You can find me personally on all the platforms, Mal Alder or Mal Not Mel. It's a common mistake. And Alderwood Creative altogether is our handle on all platforms as well, and our website. So
Well,
yeah.
thank you for being here today. Thank you for spending your time. You're a busy lady. And shout out to you. She's done great stuff for me. So
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
And new things coming. I'm excited.
Yeah. The next book. That's right. You people do my graphics.
We
Anyway,
do, we do.
they're lovely. Okay. Thank you so much. You go back to your busy day. Thank you, Mal Alder, for joining the Upshift and reminding us about how important community is for just about anything that we're doing. Anyway, listeners, thank you for listening. I'm your host, Angel Howard, and I would love to get to know you better. Send me an email at angel@angelhoward.co or book me for a speaking engagement. Come on over to my website, angelhoward.co, or dive deeper into your own journey of self-discovery and buy my book, Issues in Your Tissues, on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Until next time.